Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us again today. I'm here with an alum from SIT China, and I'll hand it right over to him so he can introduce himself and we'll get chatting about his experience while studying abroad in China with SIT Study Abroad.
Hi there, my name is Riker Pasterkiewicz. I studied I'm a senior at the University of Vermont, and I studied, I studied with SIT twice, once in Argentina on the Regional Integration Development and Social Change Program, and then again in the fall semester with SIT China, Language, Cultures, and Ethnic Minorities.
Thanks very much for bringing that up. That slipped my mind a little bit that you were also a two-time alumni. So now let's dive right in. The first question for you, Riker, is what is or are the main reasons that you chose your SIT study abroad programs?
Sure. So when I was sort of perusing, different types of programs, what really sort of caught my mind about SIT was that you get to do you have the option of doing a month of independent research. And so in Argentina, I did the ISP period, Independent Study Project period, and then in China, I did the intensive language sort of program. So I mean, really having that last month to sort of really sculpt your own sort of path and sort of put a really great capstone on your entire experience in that country really drew me to the SIT programs.
All right, thanks very much for answering that so succinctly. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here and ask you to name any key skill or skills that you gained while studying abroad with us.
Sure. So I guess a great skill other than like language skills in Mandarin and Spanish. I feel like I definitely I took some methods courses, research methods courses before I went and studied with SIT. But I guess I really got to use and like hone those skills in, and now I'm using them in my senior thesis. So that definitely like getting that feel like sort of experiential, hands-on experience, and sort of developing research questions and going out and sort of finding people to interview or doing participant observation, all the different types of methods that you have to do for the independent study project, and just sort of for interactions in daily life was one of the skills I definitely gained.
That's good to hear there. Now, could you elaborate a little bit on perhaps something that you believe you learned while studying abroad with SIT that you don't think you could have learned anywhere else?
Sure. So I feel like what makes SIT so distinct in the learning aspect is that it's not just I took courses. So you can do a sort of a traditional exchange where you go and enroll in a university and you take classes there. And SIT does have classes, but also it has a heavy experiential learning focus. And so I think that we have trips into the field where we're interviewing people, where we're learning about different social changes or the status of different ethnic minorities in different places was really sort of that face-to-face interaction that put a sort of a human element into what we were learning in the classroom was really critical. There was also a fair amount of traveling on both of my programs. In Argentina, we got to go to Brazil and Uruguay, and some of us had the option of going to Paraguay. And then in China, we traveled all around northern Yunnan province, so like to Dali and Shangri-La and all these different really great places. And so I think that's sort of something that makes it distinct in the learning process, is that it's very field-based, very experiential, making it all very, very real.
Definitely connecting what you're learning in the classroom with what is happening outside of the classroom.
Sure.
Now, would any of those, or perhaps something else, be your favorite aspect of your study abroad semesters?
Well, I feel like in Argentina, I lived with a host family for the entire semester, whereas it was part of the semester in China. So I guess like my experience in Argentina was really with my homestay family was really great. So I'd say that I was probably one of my favorite parts, but the other part was probably definitely the traveling to many different countries. That was also a really great part of the program. I feel, and then yeah, in China it was sort of having Yeah, that I would say the traveling was probably my favorite part of the China program because we also got to go to Beijing, which was great.
Wow, Beijing, yeah.
Yeah.
Big city there
Huge.
where one neighborhood has the same population as Vermont.
Yeah, basically.
So now, as you know, living here in Vermont, we're a small state, and
Sure.
we're tucked away here in Brattleboro, which is kind of out of the way for even people living in Vermont. So that leads to a very rich and intimate academic experience for our students, but it also leads to the fact that many people haven't heard of us.
Yeah.
So, as a student ambassador, I am certain you come across people that haven't heard of us. So, can you tell us how you would explain SIT study abroad to someone who has no idea who we are?
Sure. So I basically, I'm like, when I'm speaking with UVM students, I'm like, well, they're also a university that's based in Vermont because we have graduate programs and stuff. But additionally, I also sort of, I, I, I say I sort of try to like sort of explain it like, have you ever had a research methods class or a class where you really got to do a lot of hands-on a lot of hands-on assignments or projects? And so I guess I sort of frame it in an experiential learning, from an experiential learning standpoint that, SIT really gets you out into the field working with whatever it is you're studying.
All right. Now, you mentioned a little earlier that you were continuing work on your senior thesis now. So,
Sure.
can I assume that your continuing education and your continuing studies and research in the topics or the regions where you studied abroad?
Yeah, so my ISP from Argentina is the basis for my senior thesis. It's sort of piggybacking off of that and sort of exploring the questions then a little bit from a different perspective and a little bit deeper because the ISP period is only a month where I get a whole year to write this thesis. So I'm studying socioeconomic disparities in the urban planning of Buenos Aires, and I actually am in the process of applying for funding to go back over winter break. So fingers crossed, I'll be going back in December and January. So hopefully I'll be able to see my academic director and stay with my host stay family.
You'll definitely have to let us know if you do get that funding.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that sounds very exciting, and I'm glad to hear that the ISP was able to provide a nice basis for the senior thesis up there at
Definitely.
UVM. Now, we've reached the end of our questions already. That went by very fast. Now, I always like to end these little interviews with asking you if you have any advice or parting words of wisdom that you would have liked to know before you studied abroad or that you could offer to prospective students.
Sure. I mean, just always be open to every different weird experience that you could have if your homestay family decides to sort of take you somewhere on the weekend, or just really throw yourself and immerse yourself into everything. Come in with an extremely open mind, and I don't know, you sort of have to take it as it comes because everybody's experience is different. But I think every study abroad experience, no matter with SIT or not, is good. But I'd say SIT does a really good job of setting a firm foundation for you to succeed and have a really great experience.
Well, thank you once more for taking time this afternoon and for sticking through all the little technical difficulties we had in connecting.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Good luck with securing that funding, and don't get too cold up there in Burlington.
Yes, I will try. Hopefully it won't be -30 this winter.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Yes, I came back from China where it was like, it was southern China, so it was summer, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like -30. I'm like, oh no, what am I doing?
Yeah, makes you want to go back.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your afternoon and enjoy the weekend.
Too. Thank you. See you later.
Bye.